Fairline Southampton gave me a shout. They said we've got both versions of Fairline's Targa 48 here in Southampton, the GT and the Open. Why don't you come up and take a tour? And I thought this is a really good opportunity to get both of these boats and show you the differences between them. Now down here they look pretty much identical, and that's because up to about there they are. Some lovely detailing, like I love this illuminated Targa badge on the side, that's great. But while we're down here, I'm going to show you the drives on this, because these are Volvo Penta's IPS system. They are a pod drive. You can see them underneath. So there are no rudders, there are no shafts. You have these pods and they steer, they vector. Twin installation, of course, and duo props, so these props spin in opposite directions. But these steer independent of each other, so you can use a joystick, and the joystick uses a computer to manipulate these to drive the boat wherever you push the joystick. You push it sideways, the boat will go completely sideways. It makes the boat extremely easy to handle. Okay, let's go on round. And you've heard me talk about high-load platforms. Both these boats have got them, and you can see the mechanism here, and the same on this side. So these lower into the water so you can get a jet ski or a tender off the back. Okay, let's head on round, and I'll take you on board and show you a Targa 48 GT and a Targa 48 Open. So I'm going to start with a GT, I think. That's this one over here. Now the concept with this one is to give you a really protected and climate controlled environment. So you have the high-low platform for your dinghy, and then as we step on, you've got an open cockpit. Nice size, plenty of space. There's a table, of course, that will go out here if you want it, and a little bar area opposite, and then your decks go on around the side like that. In fact, let's have a quick wander around the decks while we're out here, because again you can get a good look at both boats. So if we head up here onto the foredeck, you can see that the one next to us, again, fairly much the same, but you can probably start noticing a few differences from here, and the big one is the roof. But we will come back to that in just a moment, because that's easier to explain from inside. Okay, let's head on back, and we'll go around the inside of this one first. So this is what's called a deck saloon boat. So it's a sports cruiser style, but you have a saloon area up here on the main deck. So sliding doors, a little bit like a Flybush boat. Slip my shoes off. And then a saloon area inside, opposite this rather nice bar. Some very nice woodwork on here. I love the lacquer and the way they've done this stainless steel finishing. It's really nice. Now, because you've got these sliding doors, you can close this off if you're in a very hot climate, or if you're somewhere that's a bit cooler, perhaps up in Scandinavia. Then this whole area then becomes very climate controlled. You can have heating, you can have air conditioning, and you can get it exactly how you want it. The helm position is over here on the starboard side. I love these seats that they put into this boat, and there's your helm itself, of course. But what's nice is this little area next to it, so you've got somewhere for people to come up and sit alongside. It's also nice when the boat's stationary to give you a separate little social area separate to the saloon. Okay, let's head on down. Now as we go downstairs, this is where these two boats converge, because down here both boats are pretty similar. Now this has got the lower dinette. I believe there's an option where you can have a bulkhead here and then bunk beds, so a third cabin, but I think the dinette works well, and I'm pretty certain you can convert that into sleeping anyway if you want to. Let's head forward first of all. So you've got a guest cabin up the front. This one's got scissor berths in, so it's laid out to a double, but this will split down the centre, or is split down the centre I should say, and then you can swing these out, and that gives you a V berth in here. And the toilet is accessed from here. I love these handles, they're absolutely beautiful, look at that. But there's also a door from that forward cabin, so this is an ensuite at night, big separate shower area, and then your toilet and your sink is in behind there. Okay, so let's head aft. There's a big fridge freezer and steps down, and this is the master cabin. So this is where the owner sleeps. That is a really lovely cabin. Love the way they've done this. Things like the quilted bed head at the back there with the lighting around it, and these beautiful table lamps on either side. Very, very nice. Really lovely job. Loads of storage in here as well, as you can see. And of course it has an ensuite, and that is behind me. So again, separate shower, and again, the loo and the sink. So that is a Targa 48 GT. And as I say, the crucial thing about this boat is this deck saloon. It's worth mentioning as well, of course, that this does have an opening roof section. That's above me here with these glass panels. And so the whole thing slides electrically. So you can open this area right out on a nice day. All of that, all the bits you can see that have got the glass infills, slide back. And so it does give you that open boating experience. But as I say, you can also close it all up and have a very enclosed and climate controlled experience. Right, let's go and have a look at the open, but actually just as we go past I will poke the camera down into the engine room. As I say, it's Volvo Penta IPS 600, they are 435 horsepower each. Got a decent sized engine room. You can see those pod drives right at the back. You can't see the drives, but you can see the inside of them. Twin engines, of course. As I say, 435 horsepower, that's giving the boat speeds of a little over 30 knots. I think it's about 32 knots for this one. So it's quite a sporty drive. Okay. So fix that in your mind. Deck saloon layout, opening roof at the front, cockpit out here. And now let's look at the open, because the open is quite a different experience considering it is actually based on exactly the same boat. So here we go. Fairline Targa 48 open, and the big difference we can see as soon as you step on is this big sunbathing area on the back, and in fact there is a garage underneath here, so you can put a tender in there if you want to, as well as utilising this area on the back as well. But this is where it gets different. So as I say, sunbathing here, but then this is completely open backed, and the roof on this one, rather than being a GRP roof with glass panels, it's fabric, and what that means is it's not quite as sealed as the GT version, but it is a much bigger opening. So as the name suggests, they call it an open because it does feel so open. This is a seating area here, and one thing I really like is, I hate boats that have got tables permanently mounted that you always have to shuffle around all the time. If they fold, it's better, but what's great on this one is it folds away completely. If we remove this cushion, let's try and do this one-handed while holding a GoPro, could be a challenge. There we go, that cushion then goes back, and that unfolds. And so very simply, quickly and easily, without having to lug it out of the cabin, you've got a decent table there. I think that is a really nice touch. I like that a lot. There's a bar area opposite, and that's got a barbecue inside, and that's an ice maker and a fridge. So you're well catered for in the cockpit. And you might recognise this little area here, which of course is that little snug at the front end of the GT. Same thing in this boat, but it puts you up under this big open area. So again, when you're out running fast, you do feel like you're in an outdoors boat, not inside it. And then there is the helm opposite. That again, very similar to the one on the boat next door. In fact, if I hold this up, you can probably see. See what I mean? It's amazing, isn't it? It's the same boat, and yet it's completely different. Okay, let's head on down. Now you remember the high gloss finish in the other one? Well, this one has got more of a satin finish. Now, of course, the wood finish, you can choose whatever you like for either boat. You're not stuck with one on one and one on the other. It's purely owner preference. But this is, as I say, it's a satin finish, so a little bit less glossy. Doesn't have that high lacquer. But the layout is the same. We've got the dinette just here, and then opposite that is the galley and the fridge freezer, and then again you've got guest cabin forward. Now this one's actually got the bed split, which is quite nice. You can see the alternative. It's exactly the same, it's just that these have been pulled apart. So that's great if you've got kids on board, you can give them separate beds. If you've got a couple staying with you, well then they can have a double, unless they're not talking, in which case they can have single beds. Okay, These lovely door handles again. This is back into the ensuite. We're coming into it from the forward cabin this time, but it's exactly the same as the other boat. And that door takes you out to the dinette area. So as the day heads, you don't have to go through cabins. You can see it just there. And then there is a fridge freezer on this side and steps down to the master cabin, which is where the boats converge again. So the lower deck is pretty much the same on both boats. And again, the ensuite, of course, is in behind here. Lovely. So apart from the wood finish, these are identical inside. But you head out here and they're completely different. So the question you might ask is, well, which one's better? Well, that of course depends very much on what you want and very much on where you do your boating. For me, I really like the open version. I like open air boating anyway. I have an open boat myself. But if you want the climate control, if you want to be able to really use the boat regardless of weather, then this GT, that gives you a lot more options. So there we go. Hope that's been interesting. It'd be great to show you around. If you've liked the video, then do give the thumbs up a quick click. That always helps. And if you can hit the subscribe button, we've got loads of great stuff coming, so it'll keep you informed. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one. Bye bye.